Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear, shopgameday.net. They deliver all over the country. They do engraving, they do screening, embroidery, you name it. Anything you need, shopgameday.net. Ask for Gina or Kim. Today we're talking about, do you talk like a winner? And we're late to the bandwagon around here, a lot of times late to the party, but we finally got on the Ted Lasso bandwagon, and that was the greatest show ever. I've talked about that numerous times. And now we are finally to quarterback. Peyton Manning produced it. They talk about Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. And this is a great show. And every time I watch it, we're only a couple episodes in, but the thing that stands out to me the most is the way that these guys talk, particularly Cousins and Mahomes, and we'll get to why Mariota might not be talking that way in just a minute. But these guys are constantly talking about what they want. Mahomes, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do, after he does something good, because that is what he does. And that might sound cocky, but in all reality, he's pumping himself up, and he's not just saving this praise for just his own actions. This is how he talks to everyone. In one of the episodes, they got scored on, it's late in the game, only a couple minutes left, and he's walking up and down the sideline saying, get ready to score, talking about what he wants. He could have sat there, mind you, there's a few minutes left, and said, oh, the defense, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to go back out there and now make this run for a game, saving drive, or whatever it might be. But no, he literally is constantly talking about what he wants, to the point where he's talking about working through plays so that he can get them to Andy Reid because he knows they need to be perfect, but he's playing it out exactly how he wants it. And then we shift to Cousins, who is not the same as Mahomes. These are two very different guys, very different approaches, but he is always in positive conversation with his coach, who you can tell they have a great relationship. Yep, yes. Every time the coach is talking about yes. It's almost as if Cousins is running through the scenario out on the field and saying, yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. I agree. Here I go. But the point is that these guys are constantly being productive in their language. We get to Mariota, and he is not as successful as Mahomes or Cousins, and I feel bad for Cousins. I think he just tore his Achilles, which, yuck. And it's too bad because I love the guy now. I'm a huge fan. But Mariota, who I like as well, in this last episode we just saw, is left the Falcons, got benched, and now he's like MIA. I don't know what the story is. I read about it. We'll see what the next episode says. But his talk is a little bit different. He actually says in his own assessment that sometimes he is, in his mind, thinking he has to do too much. He has to. So you go from what we want to, I have to, and that produces different results. And the results that Mariota has gotten in those situations sometimes has not been helpful. So I think that we can tie, even though we're not in these guys' heads, I think that we can tie this conversation that they're having outside of themselves, yep, this is what I do, let's go, whatever these things are, we can tie that to the same thing that they're doing on the inside, or we can assume that that's the case. But there is no doubt that talking about what we want makes a difference. In fact, if you think about some of the research that's out there, you can go straight to Barbara Fredrickson, who's now at UNC, but she talks about broaden and build theory. And what this is it deals with positive emotion, right? I talk more a little bit about productive emotion, only because positive sometimes, I don't feel good. It's not about feeling good, it's about moving forward. Positive to me means forward motion, and to her as well, although the positive things she talks about relate to how we feel good, we feel happier. But what this does is it broadens our thought action. It helps us to see things out there. It helps us to use our mental, our physical, our intellectual strengths and look for solutions. We look for ways to grow instead of ways to cower. And we look for things to fix instead of things to avoid. But more than anything, we see our bandwidth increases. We see solutions. We call upon our strengths. We believe more in ourselves and we believe more in the people around us. This gives us an opportunity to take advantage of opportunities. In fact, we see opportunity. So this is what we want. This broad and build theory backs up this what we want thinking and how that affects our performance. You can shift over to Trevor Moawad from It Takes What It Takes, and he talks about neutral thinking. In fact, he says, and in agreement with Fredrickson, at the end of the day, the things we say, the body language we give off, and the people we're surrounded by affect our internal and external growth and possibilities. He isn't as positive as like rainbows and butterflies maybe as Fredrickson is, but he's talking about neutral or productive thinking. He likes to say, where are we? He says, where are we at? But I can't say that because my mom was an English teacher and she's probably not happy with that. We're ending a sentence in a preposition. Where are we? What situation are we in? And how are we going to execute? So this self-talk or this outward talk, hopefully they match because they matter. In fact, a meta-analysis of over 30 self-talk studies has put together the fact that these productive self-talk approaches increase our performance. Whether that's instructional, that would be like stay long, long and calm. That's what one of my swimmers used. Or motivational, you got this. Or strategic, this would be a predetermined statement or word that we use. Whether it's an emotional control, like, okay, next play. Stay in control, next play. Or a positive expression like well played. But these consistently connect to improve performance. So this positive or productive self-talk, or the way that we talk to ourselves and to others, there's a direct correlation between the more productive and better performance. And there's also a direct correlation between negative and performance. You can figure out that. But according to the late Harvard social psychologist Daniel Wegner, what's in our mind affects our behavior, and you know this. Don't think of the pink elephant. Research shows that when we tell people not to think of things, that's exactly where they go. So as a coach, we need to be careful of the words we're using. In our own head, we need to be careful of the words we're using. You've probably lived this. I lived this often when I was in Cleveland and running outside every day. The driver is looking at you assumingly to avoid you, and all of a sudden they're driving towards you because, again, like Wegner said, the things that are in our head, the things that are out there right in front of our nose are what affect our behavior. So not thinking about the pink elephant, you're thinking about it. Not thinking about the bunker, you're thinking about it. Not thinking about the high pitch, you're thinking about it. And we notice it, and then we think we need to act on it because it's what is in front of us. Because we're looking for it instead of actually trying to avoid it. We're trying to avoid it, but we end up seeing it. So how do we affect or change or monitor or manage our self-talk? Well, there's lots of things that we can do. First of all, we need to become aware. We need to become aware of the situations that affect it. Where do we go to the dark side? What causes us to do that? What can we do when we are there to adjust? Well, one thing that we can do is we can tally it. And I know it's really hard to get people to write things down. But athletes who kept a log of their negative self-talk not only were more understanding, or they got a better understanding of when they do it, they understood the context of it and how it affected their performance. They noted the consequences. Those consequences not being good, of course. So we can do that. I once read in a book somewhere that a golfer, a sports psychologist had a golfer tally all of the negative thoughts they had in an 18-round play, and he just put one little mark on a scorecard for every time, and it was over 70. That's 1 per shot for a professional golfer, or 4 per hole for a professional golfer of negative thoughts. That's a lot. That was the first day. The second day, he was down below 60. The next time he did it, below 45. The next time he did it, around 30. So he was cutting it down every single time simply because he was aware of it and was able to adjust his thought or use power move number 1, choose one thought over the other, and move on to something that was going to help him. For the athletes that I work with, a lot of them, I encourage them to use a metaphor or find actionable words that they can relate to a persona that helps them work through things. So these actionable words, that we'll pick two, one that we can embody and one that we can enact. This becomes our persona. This becomes the cheetah or the lion or the shark. They tie it to someone or something that is battle ready and battle tested, that they can be in this situation, so that when they get there, they go back to these words instead of the non-productive words. There are lots of ways to manage our self-talk. None of them are easy, because we are always going to have negative thoughts. We are always going to talk to ourselves in negative ways. It's not that we're going to eliminate it, it's that we're not going to invite it in and take it to lunch, right? We need to be able to diffuse ourselves from these thoughts. And we can do that by being more aware of their consequences. We can do this by enacting a little tally. We can do this before or after practice. None of this has to be done in the game. We can't do it in basketball. We can't get in our back pocket. We don't even have a pocket and check it down. But we can prepare before and we can analyze after and understand where we need to have some sort of a system, winners have systems, to enhance our ability to be more productive, hence play better. It's that simple. There's a direct correlation between self-talk and performance. And we need to take advantage of the fact that we can increase our performance by changing the way that we talk. And we can do that, but it takes practice and it takes awareness and it takes a system. If you'd like to talk about systems, reach out. I'd be happy to help you and your team institute some systems that might help improve your performance. JulieJ@ssbperformance.com. Until next week, let's think about where we go to the dark side and think about how we can emulate and look at the success leaves clues from the quarterbacks, Mahomes and Cousins. Because if we want to be our best, we need to do what they're doing, because it's working. It's not easy, but it's possible. So let's monitor the way that we talk to ourselves and to others and manage the moments. Until next week, have a great week.